Great. Welcome to Digital Asset News, top stories in crypto, bite-sized pieces, all that great stuff. My name is Rob, and today we got a lot of things to go over, so let's just jump right into it. First of all, we're going to talk about the Fed rate hike, and it's 7.75 basis points. So if everybody was betting on that, that is the one, 75. We're going to talk about how we got here, and then we're going to talk about lessons to hopefully never forget. Also, we'll take a look at some Celsius news, which is why you're here, because of the thumbnail and the title. Then we're going to take a look at portfolio diversification. I'm going to invite in some guys from the GENSO Kishi team to talk to us for a little bit. Then we're going to talk about how Voyager, the stock, because it is a public company, has been plummeting. And it just looks to me like there's a lot of attacks going on just on crypto-centric companies, and we'll make a case for that. And lastly, we'll just do a little Q&A. So first of all, let's make sure that everybody's here. My audio is okay. Great. Everybody's set and ready to go. Let's do this. So today, ta-da! Federal Reserve raises interest rates by 0.75. And we had talked about this yesterday. Everybody was expecting 0.5. Then like a couple of days, it shifted. Everybody's like, no, it's going to be 0.75. I thought they might go bonkers and go a full point, but they didn't. So good for them. Let's see how that works out as far as inflation. But just remember, it doesn't stop there. There's a couple of more meetings coming up. Next one's July. I think next one after that is September. So expect more rate hikes. I don't see inflation being controlled by just this one little thing, but I could be wrong. Hope I'm wrong, and we'll go from there. So the real question then is, how does this affect the market? So this can't be right. That was a little. Let me refresh this. I always leave this open too long. Hey, awesome. We went from negative 6.8% to only negative 5.8%. So that's good. Good for us. Market cap is below $1 trillion, 933 billion. And you can see here, Bitcoin's hovering around 21,000. Probably go down a little bit as the news spreads around, but there might be a rally, might be a dead cat bounce. I'm not sure, because I am not Nostradamus. But you can be sure that people are going to start selling off. As you can see here, Tether and USD are strong. That's because as people sell off, it goes into stable coins. Ethereum's down almost 10%. Anybody up today? Cardano. Huh, hey, look at that. Up 2.4. Awesome. All right. 1.6. Okay. And nothing really great. So that's what's going on in the market. Let's see. We're down. Let's take a look at NASDAQ. NASDAQ is up? Holy smokes. Let me refresh that. Hey, look at that. Wow. Wow. So NASDAQ is up a little bit. I guess they like the news at this 0.75. Maybe it is priced in. Not for sure. It's looking pretty positive. Let's take a look at S&P 500. Yeah, very nice. So we'll see how that works out over here. But I have to tell you, lately, it hasn't been looking good for us. So that's what we have. Now what I want to talk to you real quick about is how we got here personally. And it just comes down to a little bit of greed, and that's what we have really going on. This is a video that pretty much says it all. And tell me where I'm wrong here. Oh, I get 1 for 2. Give me some more of that. Oh, I get more stuff. This is awesome. Now, let me give you throw some money in there. What? Free money? Okay, well, here's what I'm going to do then. If this keeps working, why don't I just do this? Why don't I just give everything on one platform, which is the exact thing that Digital Asset News tells me not to do, and see how that works out. Yeah, that's exactly right. So that's essentially how we got here. And I couldn't make it any simpler. But it's okay, because these are learning experiences, in my opinion. This is from yesterday's video. We talked about these specific things. And this is from Darman. I need to read this to you because I want this to burn into your brain. I want to make sure that you know this. So as bull markets come around, or any other types of bear and bull, that you remember these things. Because there's the greatest teacher is pain. And that's just the truth. So Darman, this is actually a second post I've read on this channel. He says, my crypto timeline is this, March 2020. I watch YouTube, see my first video on crypto. I buy 15,000 worth of Bitcoin because I'm going to make my fortune. Over the next year, I spend another 10K accumulating more Bitcoin and some alts. I watched my portfolio go to 122,000. I'm telling all my friends and family how smart I am. My wife is telling me in November to sell. I say, hell no. Bitcoin is going to 100K and Solana is going to $500. And I don't want to have to pay capital gains. Fast forward to today, and I'm basically where I first started at 27K. My wife hates me. Hint, she probably doesn't. And my friends and family are laughing at me. Hint, they probably are. I would have been better off taking the profits and paying the capital gains. And I said, hey, same here for my first rodeo. Great news, though. There's one coming down the pipe. There's always something happening. So if you think that these bear markets are just they're just an anomalies, it's a natural cycle. One comes in a bear, then comes a bull. Then comes another bear, then a bull. Never say this time is different, because it never is. It's just the same thing repeating over and over again. And then Stralin Uncle says, same here. Could have made a profit on Solana, but I missed it because of greed. And Zeno says, you're far from the only person to do that. I got in around 2019. Watched my entire portfolio go way up, dip down, way back down. Now where I started. 2 big pumps, and I took no profit on either. So let me remind everybody, take profits. Nobody ever went broke taking profits. Can we all agree that that diamond hands might not be the best thing for everybody to do for crypto digital assets? And just be measured. And just remember these things that I talk about. Don't put anything on one specific exchange. Don't invest more than you're willing to lose. And these things go, it's just the basics that protects you. I know it seems like, Rob, that's boomer advice and whatever else. Listen, I've never been called a boomer more than I have in late 2021, because I was saying the exact same things. Makes sense now. And that is the big stuff. And that leads me to my last point, which is diversification. And especially with uncorrelated assets and things like that. When you are investing into one thing and it goes down, you want the other part to go up, and vice versa. That's why I don't put 100% of my money and cash out and all that stuff into crypto. It's 5% cash. Actually, it's creeping up a lot more as time goes on. 25% are in stables. 5% is at Masterworks, fractionalized shares of artwork, which is registered with the SEC, just so you know. 15% in land, 20% into real estate, Airbnb, Verbo, 10% into my Amazon business, and 50% into staking, and then, of course, iTrust Capital. So I want to make sure that you're all taken care of. Right now would be probably a good time to get one of these. It's called a ledger, and you can take your crypto off exchanges. And that's the website, ledger.com. I don't have an affiliate link, but there's a link in the description. Don't buy on something stupid like Amazon or eBay, because that probably belongs to somebody else, and then they can hack you. So get it from the source, ledger.com. May cost you an extra $10, but you'll be okay. And then if you want to know how to use that thing, just go to Dan Teaches Crypto. That's my 100% free website. That's always hovering below me, danteachescrypto.com. And in module 2, safety, I tell you how to detect scammers and do the basic stuff, avoid crypto scams. And I talk about how to actually set up your nano ledger, how to do Ledger Live app, and all the stuff that you need to know so you can actually use the damn thing. And then you can, work yourself from there. Actually, updating firmware, that's a pretty good one. And then lastly, as far as uncorrelated or doing the safe things, this is iTrust. I've had a lot of questions about, will iTrust collapse like Celsius is collapsing and things like that? I'm like, no, because they don't do loans and lending and crazy DeFi stuff. They don't even charge you a monthly fee, but just how it works. For a transaction fee, it's 1%, and gold transaction fee is 50, silver is 250 over a spot. So just so you know, that's how it works. And also, if you do any trading within your Roth IRA account, that's what iTrust Capital is, it's tax exempt. So if you would have been smart, I didn't do this because I'm not that smart. You could have sold your crypto or your Bitcoin or crypto within your Roth IRA, and you could have put it into cash and let it just sit there and then wait for it to drop. I mean, you could have sold it at 69K or 67K, let it to drop at 20K and buy it right back. You could buy 2 or 3, and it's not a taxable event as opposed to on the outside. So that's just something to do. And then also, of course, Masterworks, fractionalized shares of art. This is what I have. And again, I'm not doing a ton of it. This is like 5% of my portfolio. I'm not going crazy and going buy a bunch of art, but I think it's good to diversify. I think we can agree a little bit. I got a Banksy and a Basquiat. I don't own the whole thing because I'm not a baller, But you can see like the realized gains, 32%, 31, 33, and so on and so forth. And then the thing for me is I never understood art, and that's why they buy it for me, because I don't know what I'm doing. But the thing about art is that it's an uncorrelated asset because rich people are crazy. And here's another example. The Banksy that shredded itself, it sold for $25.4 million. I don't know if you remember this, but somebody paid $1.8 million for this art called Girl with Balloon. As soon as he bought it, it shredded and only got halfway. And then somebody bought it for $25.4 million. So if you're looking for like some uncorrelated assets, that would be the place to go. Yes, there's a link in the description. Okay, so that brings us to the point of the show, the Celsius news. Here's what's going on. Everybody's talking about Celsius. This is from Breaking Points. And you can see it on CNN and CNBC and all the different lamestream medias. But I like these guys. They're pretty grounded. And when I say that nobody has a crystal ball, well, this show actually has one. Her name's Crystal. Her name's Crystal Ball. And they were talking about it. A bunch of different places. I didn't expect to see it. They were talking about it. And we had actually talked about Celsius on this show on Sunday when I got back from Consensus. And I said very specifically, you know what? It's not worth the yield. You probably want to take your crypto off. And then 9 hours later, they shut everything down. So that wasn't good. There's a link in the description. But I will just be honest with everybody, is that I had 3% of my portfolio on there. And after I did the video, I'm like, I'll get to it. I didn't get to it. So 3% of my portfolio is stuck over there. That's okay. I'm not going to die with 3% of my portfolio. And that's why you never, ever put a big chunk of your crypto on any one centralized exchange. And that's why I gave you this sweet website called Ledger, so you can figure that out with my website and make it work for you. So here's what's going on. Crypto lender Celsius hires restructuring lawyers after account freeze. That's never a really great sign, I must admit. But here's what's going on. So first of all, you have to understand, where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm going to read this one sentence here. Crypto lender Celsius Network has hired restructuring attorneys from law firm Aachen, Gump, Strauss, Hauer, and Field to advise on possible solutions for its mounting financial problems. So again, possible solutions. And I was like, who the heck are these people? Well, here's who they are. Aachen, Gump, Strauss, Hauer, and Feld. Here's what they do. Here's the experience. First of all, it's a pretty big firm. And it's not just centralized in one place. It's actually all over the place. But you can see like antitrust, climate change, corporate, cybersecurity. And here's one that caught my interest, debt finance. You got here alternative capital sources, capital and retirement, financial restructuring, institutional private placements, and so on and so forth. So I'm like, that's a pretty good one. And I'm like, well, who are these guys if that's really the case? Just so you know, they're not some small-time mom and pop shop. They're pretty ginormous. Abu Dhabi, Beijing, Fort Worth, Frankfurt, Geneva, Houston. I mean, the list goes on. They're everywhere. So this, again, is not, I'm saying that you're never going to get your crypto because they've hired some lawyers. Maybe they're just looking for an opinion. But I can tell you, it's once you start to lawyer up, things get a little dicey. And that's where we're at. So on top of that, I'd also like to share that when it was talking about in this article, it said that Celsius has roughly 12 billion of assets under management, which is our crypto. And I was like, well, I wonder how that's working and if that's really up to date and accurate, because there were some things that I know, like on the Celsius website, they didn't update their website. And they said they still had partnerships with Voyager. Voyager's like, we don't do anything with them after for months and months and months. I want to say over 6 months. And I was like, well, I wonder if that's really true. So this is the information that I could find recently for weekly stats. I know they put this out on their website. I couldn't find it anymore. Maybe I wasn't looking in the right place. But on their Twitter feed, I found this. This is from weekly stats from May 6th to May 12th, about a month ago. This is the registrations, first-time customers. Here was the inflows, 396 million. All right, it's a lot of inflows, actually. Here was the outflows, -1 billion. -1 billion. Maybe people back then were like, this doesn't make any sense. And this was around the time of the Terra debacle that was going on. And in actuality, I had Alex on the show, and I asked him this specific question, and I'm going to show you exactly what he said on that interview in a second. But also, just so you know that Celsius on their website, this may not be updated, but it does say it has $750 million in insurance, which doesn't really help too much if you got over 12 billion assets under management, just saying. But then just remember this, just because that they're going through this and they're trying to do all the things and restructure doesn't mean that they can't have bailouts. Remember this little story not too long ago? Jump Crypto bailed out Wormhole with their bridging exploit because they thought it was worth bailing out, and they put a big chunk of money. The problem with this one, though, is that the exploit was $320 million. So put that into perspective of 10 to 12 billion dollars with, unfortunately, Celsius. So that's what we have right there. And I'm going to play a video for you. This is when I had Alex on the show about 3 or 4 weeks ago, or whenever it was. It was around this time. And I asked him these specific things, especially during the Luna debacle. And it's only a minute long. And I'm just showing you exactly what was said. So here we go.
Look, we have UST and Luna listed in our wallets. And when people give us UST, we stake it to earn rewards, just like you would do yourself, right? So we do it on behalf of our community. The difference between doing it yourself and us doing it for you is that we monitor it 24/7. And when we started seeing a DPEG, we pulled everything out, and we did that on behalf of our community. And again, we should get a badge of honor, a medal. Or my team, my security team, my risk team should get a medal for being one of the first to pull out all that, all these coins out of those protocols.
Yeah. So I know, like you talked about, he said that you guys had invested into Terra, and you'd have been, probably getting some yield. When did you guys just decide or look at it and go, you know what, this isn't good. We need to get out of here?
So first, we never invested in Terra.
Okay.
Jump, 3 Arrow Capital, Galaxy invested in Terra. Celsius has never invested in Terra. I posted several tweets. Celsius Network posted several tweets debunking the FUD that Celsius somehow gave loans to Terra or invested in Terra. We don't do that. That's not our business.
Yeah, there you go. So take it for what it's worth. I'm not here to demonize anybody, spread FUD and all that stuff, but just to give you both sides of the story. And that's what we have right there. There is some other on-chain data that does not look too promising as far as like the different things that we're going and investing into Anchor protocol and those essential Ponzi. But that's what we have right now. And I hope, like I said, I've had Alex on the show, and I can only tell you what he tells me, and we just go from there. So hopefully they do the right thing and are able to get these things done. But unfortunately, only time will tell. So let me know what you think about that in the comment section. All those videos that we talked about, the one from Sunday where I talked about getting all your stuff off Celsius, this one where we had 3 or 4 weeks ago is on there. And actually, I even had the video from Breaking Points linked in the description. So check those out. What you think? And let's move on to our next point. Portfolio diversification. So right now is one of those times when you probably think to yourself, man, maybe I should have taken more profits. Maybe I should have diversified more. Maybe I should have done something. I can't tell you what to do. I'm not a financial advisor, just some guy in a pool house. And I can just tell you, like we talked about in the very beginning, this is how I diversify. And I'm very happy that I did these things. And for real estate and for the other businesses, for the sports facility, I mean, to us, it just made sense. I could have rode this train and go, you know what? Crypto's going, it's going to be a 10 trillion market cap, and it's going to hold on for forever. I'll probably get there at some point, but I can't tell you when. And this is why it's so important. And then, so these diversification is paramount to probably what you want to do. Again, take a look at a lot of different sources. This is just the things that I do. I can't tell you exactly what to do. But within your diversification, if you're not like a big real estate, maybe there's some things like within your crypto portfolio that you could take a look at and go, you know what, this is something I really want to get more into. And to me, I think like there's some diversification that could be done within there. I have this second website or the second YouTube channel. It's called Dan Degen. It's the very risky stuff. Again, just like with Masterworks, which is only 5%. And then, of course, with iTrust, with the Roth IRA, it's only about 5% or so of my portfolio, or actually more. It's probably less than that. For Dan Degen and these degenerate plays, as I call them, these are the things that, again, are between 3 and 5%. It's not that much. But I got to tell you, as I look at these, as the market really tumbles far, like we're down Bitcoin about 60%. Ethereum's down much more over that. And, you know, the top 10, top 20, they haven't really been holding out. It's been really doing well. But however, some of these projects that we've talked about before, they've got real great utility. And why? Because people use them. So GENSO Kishi, we had talked about this in the show on December 15th. Everdome, we did that in February. And then March, or February, we did that in April. And actually, if you take a look at today's date, which is June 15th, this is how much we're up. And these are the things that maybe, just to put this in the back of your head, maybe these are the things that look at closer. Not these now, maybe things moving on forward. If you take a look at GENSO, today, isn't that weird? It's up almost 2%. It's ranked, gosh, 288. And the reason, I think one of the reasons is because of, that's not what I'm looking at, is because of this. So it's a play to earn game. That's not my thing. I don't really get into play to earn games, but that's not my job as an investor. But I take a look at video gamers worldwide. You can take a look here in North America, 284 million. It's not that many. Latin America, 419. Europe, 715. And Asia has 1.5 billion. So even though Bitcoin crashes and these things crash, and people talk about it's, you know, the greatest thing of all time, I think there's some diversification that can be found, especially with projects that have real world utility. And that's the thing. And then this picture right here, this is from the Coin Bureau event. And that's right there. It's Alex Fazal with his head tilted. He's from Swissborg. There's me and Gabby. This is Hayate Matz. And then this is Maxi, and he's the CEO of GENSO Kishi. And I have invested into this project, and just for full transparency, they don't pay me a dime. I just get access to these great guys. And this is how it all works out. So I'm going to have them talk to you about what's going on now with the project, and then we'll go from there. So that will be this little piece right here. It's about 6 minutes or so. And just take a listen. Right here. All right, everybody. So as promised, what I want to do is just bring in a couple of guys who could help me out, explain this a little bit better about why GENSO is doing so well and the track that they're laying. So I've got Maxi. He's the CEO of GENSO. Maxi, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Rob. And thank you, everybody.
Yes. And then also we have Matt, who's global head for GENSO Kishi. Matt, thanks for coming on yet again.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you for having us.
Yes. Thanks, guys, for coming on. So here's the thing. And it's a weird situation. We know the problems that are going on with, in the market right now. But GENSO Kishi, the metaverse play, the play to earn game, is doing pretty strong. Let's say you guys are building track. Talk us through this, because this is interesting. First of all, this was from your Twitter account. And you talked about it was the top 10 metaverse projects by fully diluted market cap. Matt, I'm going to ask you on this one. It looks like, these things, I don't know if they're going to be around in the long run, but it looks like you guys are holding your own. Just talk to us real quick about how this is playing out.
Thank you so much. We definitely are excited about this ranking. And as you say, we have a lot of gamers in Asia. And the point that I want to stress a lot about GENSO Kishi is that we are a game that has a 14-year history. We were the most downloaded game in 2012 in many countries, in Taiwan, Japan, Korea. And that's why we have already a booming user base who is excited about this new GameFi sequel that we're building right now, which is called Genso Kishi.
Right.
And that is why some of you may not have heard of Genso Kishi, and most of you have heard it only from Rob's video. But everybody in Japan knows about our project. Not to be arrogant, not to be showing off or anything, but Genso Kishi is the biggest GameFi project right now in Japan, without a doubt. And we have a lot of players coming in. They're preparing to play the game by stashing up on our governance tokens. And that's why I think we are poised in a good position, and that we're very excited, and we already opened the alpha, and more is coming very soon.
Yeah, perfect. And this is what I was talking about in the video over on Dan DGen. I said, there's always about making the cut, the CUTT, the community, the utility, the team, and the tokenomics. And for me, the community was huge for me, because I said, well, they've already been around the block for years already. They already have a working product that has launched on Nintendo Switch, on PlayStation, iOS, and Android for years. So I'm like, they're just going to bring those people over, and they don't have to do much of the marketing. But of course, it's really blown up anyhow. And then, of course, talking about laying track, if we see over here, not only have you guys done, had a nice ranking, but now it looks like you guys have been listed on Kraken Global. So how big a deal is that for you guys?
Right. This is very important for us. Kraken has been working with us for this listing to be smooth as possible, and who knows? What we are very excited about is what this is going to lead to. There's a lot that we can't disclose right now, but Kraken is a very close exchange with us. We have many people working on this exchange with us right now. So we're excited to announce more steps with this collaboration. And
right.
I'm sorry, there's not a lot I said right now, but yes, this is a very important step.
Yeah, don't say too much, Matt, because I know we talked about it, but of course you couldn't even tell me, and I'm okay with that. But I think one of the big things to remember is that Kraken Global, it's also in U.S. territories, so there's a big unrest of the regulation aspect. So if people are looking at it going, how's things going? If you get it listed in a U.S. territory, it's kind of like a big deal. So there is that part, and then of course the next one, you guys have something coming up. Of course, there's things you can't talk about, but there are some things you can. And this is where, Maxi, you come in. Explain this to us about what exactly is going on here. There's a thing called an auction happening.
Yeah, I think you can see that NFT auction round 2. The second NFT auction is coming actually today. And this time you can use our governance token, NV, for the bidding for this very cool legendary NFT. We have 10 and more super rare and rare level NFTs are waiting for you guys. So it just started today, and we'll end very soon. So please keep watching on our Twitter and our official website.
Perfect.
And like
right
you said,
right
Rob, like you said, Rob, it's about the cut, and tokenomics is one of them. We've been announcing how important our governance tokens are going to be. It's going to be important for these bidding and further utilities regarding our NFTs. So this is the first step.
That's big. And then I don't want to leave everybody in the lurch, but there's also, you guys have a working product already. And this is gameplay. It's a 6-hour video. We're not going to watch the whole thing, but you guys already had this go through. You had players going on. Everything worked out pretty well. You can see here in the map, there's a lot of people playing around, doing their thing. And of course, you're not going to find this in America. And that's why, I think Americans, unfortunately, think everything revolves around us. Sorry, it's just the truth. I'm guilty of that sometimes too. But I can see here that there's a reason why you guys have done so well, and it's because of the community. And it makes sense from what we talked about before. There's a lot more gamers in the Asian countries than there are here in North America, Latin America, even Europe. So real quick, how'd that work out for you guys as far as gameplay and getting this thing done?
Yeah, if I may speak,
Sure.
You can see on the video right there, on the left-hand side, you see a map, and all those red dots are the gamers who are playing alongside you. and it was a closed alpha, but we had, like you see, a lot of gamers streaming it, a lot of guilds we've been working with streaming it, making teams alongside each other. We are very, very happy, and of course we're working really hard to maintain this, I don't want to say hype, but this excitement that we're seeing in Japan and Taiwan, and that's what we're going to build onto. And I don't think that really matters when people are coming in to play the game, whether if it's a bear market or a bull. So that's what we were very happy about and excited about.
I have to agree. All right, gents. So that is it. And I want to make something crystal clear. I have invested into this project, so I am a little bit biased. But remember, the things that I invest into, people don't pay me. I pay them to get into these projects because I think they're going to do pretty well, like the things we talk about on Dan Degen, like the community utility team and tokenomics. I think it's going to do very well. I'm not a big gamer, but that's not my responsibility as an investor. My responsibility is to find the good projects, stick with them, talk about them, and be with them for the long haul. So, gents, anything that I missed?
What you missed is how we missed that night when we met in London. We have to do that again.
Oh man, I got to tell you, that was good times. I think we're going to do it again, maybe potentially in Dubai. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for coming on. I know you guys are busy. I appreciate it, and we'll have you back at some point.
Thank you so much, Rob.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rob. Yeah.
Excellent. See you guys. Great, so that's it. I know, of course, maybe that's not everybody's cup of tea, but I bring it to you and you make your own decision. So on top of that, last story, Voyager stock. And it is plummeting, just like a lot of different crypto-centric businesses. And the thing just has me a little bit concerned. And what it is, this was a tweet from Mirthless VGX Stunner. And he talks about how short selling, there's a lot of short selling with a big increase the last 3 days. And it got me thinking about Voyager, the company, not Voyager or VGX, the token. And I took a look at it just to see how the price action has done. And it has not done well. This is 1 day. Let me go 6 months out. For the company, for the stock, again, the stock, the equity, the security being what it is, it was at $15 just in December 27th. That's pretty good. And now we're all the way down to $1.26. So we've got a lot of, and of course, you see the same thing happening with Coinbase. That was, I think we're right around $40, $45. You see, I mean, just a lot of, and of course, the layoffs. Coinbase is laying people off. What's the other? BlockFi. I don't know about Nexo. And you just see it happening all over the place, except for Binance, they're actually hiring. But I take a look at these things and I'm like, it seems to me like there's a lot of, the track is being laid and the companies themselves looks to be doing pretty good, but it seems like people are shorting them like crazy. I don't know if it's just driving people out or what. And it made me think of this. It was an email. This was from Jeff Bezos back in 2000. Remember the dot-com era, 95 to 98, it was a big hype. Then it started to fall off a cliff around 99. Then in 2000, Amazon shares fell 80%, which I think if we take a look at that today, seems pretty ridiculous moving forward. But this is what he said back then. He goes, it's been a brutal year. We're down 80% from when I wrote you last year. But if we take a look at things that are going, and he said very simply, he goes, look, we've served 20 million customers, which is up from 14 million. That's a lot. 6 million more people in just a year. Sales grew 2.76 billion from 1.64. Pro forma loss shrank 6% from 26. Average spend per customer up 19%. Gross profits, international sales, and so on and so forth. And he talks about how great they're actually doing and they're actually growing. So if the company is better positioned today than it was a year ago, why is the stock price so much lower than it was a year? Benjamin Graham said it like this. In the short term, I believe this to be true. The stock market is a voting machine. In the long term, it's a weighing machine. Clearly, there was a lot of voting going on in the boom year of 99, which I think we can relate to with the crypto assets that we just came through in 2021. And now, of course, we're going down a little bit, but has anything really, really super changed with like the top projects? Has there anything really gone through that has changed the utility? I don't think it really has. I think it's the cool down period because people got a little over exuberant, and that's just the normality of what's going on. But I think there's brighter days ahead. It's just that for a little while, we're going to see a little bit of a downfall. So that's what we have for today. So look, I know it was a little bit long, actually a lot long, too long. But that ends the news portion of digital asset news. Now, if you want to stick around for Q&A and tell me how big of a shill I am, go right ahead. I'll be right here. So we'll do a little Q&A right now, and we'll go from there. So let's get to it, shall we? Whoops, wrong one. Comments. I started some because I thought they were pretty good. Let's start with this one.